Welcome to Success Stories. Welcome to Zana.
Since the age of probably 2 years old, I have had a passion for food. And when I read about some women who had started a pasta company in Washington, D.C., that paired along with my natural propensity for reading food magazines and cooking magazines. I knew that there was a pasta revolution starting in 1981. So what did I have to do from there? I wrote up basically a letter to a woman who had the cookware store in Ann Arbor, and I proposed the idea to her. She thought it was a fantastic idea. She thought, well, maybe Monique, you should come and work for me for a year. So that's what I did, and that's when I had the amazing luck and opportunity to meet Marcella Hazan. She said, if you want to make the best pasta, this is how to do it. So she gave me the recipe, the technique, and literally in 25 years, we have, even with our growth, we have never strayed from that original recipe and that original technique.
Well, I started Al Dente in 1981, so been in business now for 26 years. For the probably first 10 or 15 years, when I would tell people what I did for a living and I would describe Al Dente, they would say, oh yeah, the one that's in the box. Or I would say, no, the one in the bag with the round label and the black and white check tie at the top. And so, but at about 15 years ago is when all of a sudden I would say, I make Al Dente pasta. Oh, the one in the bag with the round label and the tie at the top. And literally, since then, everyone knows our pasta, and I know that they know the brand.
We had a retail windsurfing business located in Ann Arbor, and we were also making the pasta at another location in Ann Arbor. Although it wasn't very efficient having two operations. So it was at that time we decided that it'd be smart if we could possibly get both the businesses under one roof. And it'd be really smart if we could buy a piece of property rather than rent. We knew at that time, and we felt at that time, that we would be working for ourselves all our lives, and we thought, well, this might be a good way to plan for our future if we could buy a piece of property. And that's what we did here in Whitmore Lake in 1985.
The thing that we haven't capitalized on the most yet is the internet. And so for the future, I do have a lot of ideas, and I will be pursuing some of those ideas, especially now with blogging. And so marketing through the internet and selling more on the internet is one of my personal goals for the future.
From health food stores to chain stores throughout the country. And we'll work with them in different capacities depending on their demands. But we support demos in their stores, we support ads in their stores, off-shelf displays, meaning we'll do promotions with them. Our target market is growing all the time as far as the demographic. We have aging baby boomers that are interested in both entertaining with food and health-conscious meals. And on the other end of the spectrum, we have younger people who have either grown up with specialty food in their homes or getting exposed to it through a variety of different ways, being restaurants or the food channel or even the internet. So our target market is growing, like I said, from both ends of the spectrum.
Well, when I started Al Dente, I just thought it was the perfect name for a pasta product. Well, at the time, I wasn't, I guess you could say, savvy enough to look into getting that name trademarked right away before even making our first labels. It wasn't until we had been in business for a couple of years that I knew enough to look into doing that. And by the time I did it, that's when I found out that actually, because it's so descriptive and it can be found in the dictionary, that it really was very highly unlikely that we would ever be able to trademark the name Al Dente for pasta. So you can imagine that my advice to any company starting out at this point is to look into the future before naming your product. We have learned how important it is to protect your trademark at all costs. Now that we do have the trademark al dente for pasta, when we find out that another company is using the name al dente, we know that we have to send them a letter. But we didn't know that kind of thing before. So you learn a lot along the way, but with earlier legal advice, we would have been able to learn all of these things quicker. Well, the main thing is we are committed to putting our personal differences aside for the sake of the business. And we deal, if we are having a disagreement, we don't deal with it on company time. It would be pretty immature of us to jeopardize the health of our company. After all, it is our livelihood for our family as well as many other families. And so that's why we put my sister's office right between the two of us, because she is equally committed to the business. She loves us both, and she's a great mediator, so it all works out just fine that way.
Success Stories has been a production of Zana Network.